now return to story time with Bubba.
Hey kids, today we're going to be reading Behind Bars by Lunarelle. The prison was dark at this time of day. It was always dark. It was true, but since there are currently no prisoners around, the spells that were normally in place have been lifted. Faith felt no ill effects from being there, save for the memories that haunted her even now. She wasn't sure why her stroll had taken her there. She had meant to go to the royal quarter, but somehow she had found herself in the dungeons beneath the Undercity. Running her hands over the cold bars, she let herself slip into a fantasy, one she had ever since she'd spent her time there. Might I ask you what you're doing here? Faith turned around, her mouth opening slightly in surprise. Sylvanas stood there, wearing her customary leather armor. She didn't have a cloak on, and so her hair spilled freely down her back, brittle as always, but seeming to glow from within. I don't really know, Sylvanas, she said softly. What about you? I came to make sure that it would put spells up again. There's been an outbreak of thievery lately, and I'm determined to put the perpetrator in here. Faith knew about the thief. For the past 3 weeks, someone has been breaking into private homes and stealing valuable crystals and herbs. It was probably a spellcaster, although she couldn't imagine any Forsaken stealing things like that. Not when Sylvanas kept such an inventory in the royal quarter for the Magi Corps to use. Sylvanas looked at her. You're looking very pretty today, you know, she told her. I aim to please, whispered Faith. You're more than welcome to look at me anytime you want. I'll make sure to do that, said the Banshee Queen, walking around her and examining her closely. Her hand reached out to touch the robes Faith were wearing, her customary black ones, made of the finely spun wool and enhanced with a warming spell so that she wouldn't be cold. Slowly she took her hold of the material and lifted it, exposing Faith's booted leg. Would you like me to take that off, my queen? She didn't make a sound, instead stepping closer and pulling the robes higher until she finally could see her skin. The beautiful creamy pale skin of her legs. Faith gently backed away until she was in one of the cells. Sylvanas' reaction was instantaneous. She leapt, pinning her against the bars and beginning to kiss her hungrily. It was all Faith could do to keep up with her as she dipped a hand inside her underwear, fingering her lightly. Oh, Sylvanas, Faith gasped in pleasure and reached back to grasp one of her cell bars. Yes! Oh, yes, my love, yes! Yes, what? Snarled Sylvanas, now biting at Faith's neck enough to leave a mark. Her mark. Faith belonged to her, and the entire world knew it. Give it to me, baby. Please. A smirk. Are you sure you want this? Faith grabbed Sylvanas' hand and pushed her fingers inside her, crying out. Sylvanas looked triumphant for a moment, and she added a third finger, rubbing hard. Faith screamed. Ah! That was the way I wanted it, wasn't it? Considering how turned on she was, Sylvanas' voice was quite steady. She would need to pleasure herself soon if she remained in control of the situation. Ah, yes! Yes, my darling, yes! Faith was shaking on the edge and trying to remain there. She didn't want to let go too soon, but Sylvanas was intent on getting her to spill her juices. The noises as she shoved her fingers mercilessly into her was like a dog lapping in water. And a second later, she called out her name in rapture. Her release came over her like a tidal wave, and she burst into tears when Sylvanas pulled away from her. Shh, there's no need to cry, she said, already unbuttoning her leggings. I'm still here. Faith could barely move. As it was, she sank into the ground, her legs shaking too, much to support her weight. She was still in the middle of the climax when she crawled over the formerly Ranger, General Silvermoon, her mouth finding the sticky wetness between her legs. Sylvanas placed a hand behind her head, pushing gently to make sure she wouldn't back off. But if there was one thing Faith enjoyed more than her own release, it was to send Sylvanas over the edge. And she settled into it, shaking still. A tear fell onto Sylvanas' bare leg, and she pulled her hair. Looking down at her, her free hand wiped the tears from Faith's face before she allowed her to continue. The queen made a soft noise of pleasure. "That's it," she whispered as Faith's tongue penetrated her, then pulled out to lick at the folds of her flesh. "You always know what to do." One of Faith's hands moved back to cup Sylvanas' ass, while the other one bumped against her clitoris. Sylvanas shuddered. "You fiend!" Faith smiled, her tongue now licking at the spot while her fingers steadily burrowed within her. "Faith!" She looked harder. "Faith, what are you doing?" She opened her eyes, the fantasy fading from her vision. "Damn it, Sylvanas. I almost had you." "Almost had me what?" Sylvanas stepped over to her. "What are you doing at this time of night? You should be asleep." "Do you like looking at me?" "Do I like looking? What? What's going on?" She looked at Faith a little more carefully and shuddered, suddenly burst into laughter, the sounding echoing against the walls of the prison. Faith was blushing, looking anywhere but at the Banshee Queen. "You were fantasizing about me, taking me in one of these cells, weren't you?" "Maybe." I have to say it's a little appealing, though I don't think it would be comfortable for you. I'm comfortable wherever you are, as long as I'm with you." "I don't believe that for a second." She looked at Faith, their faces inches apart. "Come on, let's go have sex." Faith's eyes lit up. "Here?" "Upstairs in bed, since you can't seem to sleep. I'll keep you awake for a couple more hours." And so she did. The end. Thanks for watching Storytime. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content. Also, feel free to comment below. Check us out on social media, and have a great day. Thanks.